you'll see that some parts of the paper are really dry because they're sort of raised. You just use it. You don't fight it. If you fight it, forget it. It's better to not know anything about what's going to happen. Because as soon as you try to plan, at least in the way I paint, it will not do well. Now you see these look really bright on here to start with, but they will fade into a much, and what I'll do is I'll just, this is the constructive law, it's finding the path of freedom to work. Now what will happen, we don't know. We'll find out. And I will just do it till I'm happy or not happy and I decide to do something else. But if you were to try to paint that, I've got 3 to 4 different kinds of yellows, and I will go ahead and use a little bit of each.
Different in color value or just different in
Different in color value, yes. And I will almost always use them in concert.
More the cadmium yellow now?
I couldn't tell you for sure. I use a lot of cadmiums because they're more brilliant. You can see there's a little bit of paint that came from an earlier painting, and you just don't worry about it. You can't mess with it right now. You might be able to paint over it later on or paper towel it out. I'll just show you, depending on the amount of. But the likelihood is that some green is going to come back over that or blue and not affect it at all. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to say. You don't want to get too close, but all of this paint will come out. I do not have a cold, but I do have an allergy to something I ate earlier. Right. Did you eat the Korean?
Yes.
That's what's going with me.
It could be something you're right.
Clean this a little bit more than I did earlier. Grace wanted to give me lots of time to talk, so these are really spacious notes here to begin with.
How did you meet Grace?
We met at Dos Perros, which is a restaurant in the Triangle. Marty and I were there to eat dinner with friends, and we had to sit at the bar. Grace was sitting at the end, reading a book, and we became fast friends. So, just by accident.
Angels at work.
No accident.
I think Grace would be the first to agree with you.
Do you sell it?
I'm sorry?
Do you sell it?
Do I sell my work?
Purchase like in a gallery with a price tag on it?
Yes, like the pieces at the Chamber of Commerce are all for sale.
Okay.
Yeah, I've sold about 700 pieces.
Okay.
How many?
700. Now I'm going to put my first blues on. The blues are almost always a defining color for the shape of a painting. Now, right now, I'm just going with what I have. I mean, I'm just looking at the way the paint is spread on the paper, and it's forcing me to work with it. And all these blues will look really bright now and dark, but they will go light. And you have to work fast. If you want the freshness and clarity of what the paint will do.
Do you feel like you pick watercolors or watercolors pick you?
I think that watercolors picked me because of Marjorie that lived behind me. I'm not sure that I would have ever, without her tutelage over those years. I mean, I painted lots of riverboats, lots of the kinds of things Marjorie painted. I can paint those as well.
How does that process differ? I mean, if you're trying to be very, I don't know about the realistic or...
Well, this could become a realistic painting if I wanted to take it in that direction. Now you can see that there are some browns, but what I do if I haven't done that in a long time, where there's one painting over at the show that became representation like a sea scene, but it started out very much like this. It just became the sea. But I think that the deal is to get familiar enough with your medium so that you can control it the way you want. If I wanted to put a tree in a house and a dog, I could do all of that, but that's not so much what I need to do. And you can see how things are puddling. This is, again, the constructive law at work. And like the rivers find its way, and the way each of these things are happening, that's the constructive law at work. Now, I will just pick up these puddles, mostly because I don't want the paint to be too muddy, but I also like the patterns that this will do. And then you can take this, and on a dry piece, if there's enough paint there, and take it over. If you really want more paint on there, you can go like this. So you get these interesting kinds of little things that you can't paint. For like if you were doing brick and you want to do a brick, you could, if you had a wall that was going to be all brick, you could do that pattern. Sure. But it's again just getting to know what's going to happen. I'm going to come back in with yellow, red, and blue here, and usually it's in the second stage that the painting will begin to. I will begin to really take it to another, where I'm trying to make something happen. And I often will not look at how it's looking, so that I don't have too much control. Sometime during the process, I'm going to decide whether it's vertical or horizontal, but it often won't happen until the end. Slip by.
You may have said, but are you the creator of this method? Well, I don't want to call it a method, but...
Oh, no.
Other people do this? It looks like Picasso.
Actually, my tutor, Jason, the one I was talking about, this is how he would relax, but he didn't ever try to sell the paintings that were like this. So I learned it from him. I learned not to be afraid of the paper from him. Now, I just put a little bit of yellow. Right now I'm going to go into my really crimson. And I have a feeling that we need some crimson in here. And she's doing her reds again.
Feeling.
Now, if I were painting that and I'm looking at that saying that's really, really beautiful, I don't want that to change. And you know it's going to change.
Well, you know it's going to change because it's going to not be as brilliant and vibrant. See how faded those are there? Those were as bright as almost what we have right now. But you see, if I don't leave all these white spaces, there won't be any light shining from behind it. So all of my painting is going to be working on top of this. And sometimes I'll do something that I want to go back and redo. And what I'm doing is just getting more paint on the brush. And you notice I haven't used my mixing tool, but as I get further in the painting, I'll use this more.
Watching this right in here and how it's moving and spreading out.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
neat.
Yeah, and when I
This
when
right
I
in
pick it up
here.
and move it in just a second, it's going to do its
Yeah.
own thing again. So here. Look at this here.
Oh, wow, that's like fractal.
It's almost like frost forming on a window and
Right.
how it goes out. That whole area in there is like that there and there.
Right. And sometimes I'll decide I can't leave that. I like it so much like it is. And sometimes I'll say, not now. Other times I'll say, okay. I try not to and the scraping brings back that luminous quality, brings the paper out from under it. Yeah, don't be afraid. Be afraid.
You can start to see green in there because of the blue and the yellow.
Oh yeah, the colors all come in. And I'm leaving these splatters. I'm going to splatter a little more in this direction right now. So if you want to step back, Bonnie, just a little bit. Now I've got some different kinds of blues here. There's one blue that is, I often will stay away from it. It's called Prussian blue. But I have decided that today we will use it. See, it's almost green. Phthalo blue is the blue to stay away from.
Why?
You can't. It doesn't mix well with others.
It doesn't play well with others.
Yeah. Right. Phthalo blue.
Is that because of the types of paint it is? Or?
I think something about the chemicals that are in it. Now I'm going to go ahead and step into some lavender and purple. This is ultramarine purple, and this is a professional color, even though it's over here in this. And I'm just going to bring it up.
I like this.
Now, the sprayer. One of the things that happens when you spray onto, see how that? Boom. Woo. And you just say, okay, that's what's happening. You don't.
Wow. Do you ever work with kids?
I taught for 3 years at the Neshoba Art Center in Germantown, Tennessee, as a young man when I was working with quadriplegics back in the old days.
I was going to say, this would be great to do with kids because it's so freeing in a way.
Okay, now I'm going to pick it up. So if you'll step back just a little bit, give me some room. I'm going to spray it over here before I forget. I was just blown away by this Bergeon book because it would describe what it was I do with my paints. So it made another little line, at the original water level. You see this little edge here? It didn't lose that edge. It hasn't lost any of these edges here. And that's what's going to make the painting in the long run, is these things that are emerging right now. And this little brush that I like so much, don't tell anybody, but I didn't hurt a dog. This was my dog's tail.
This was your what?
Dog's tail. I just borrowed it. The little, the hair. Long-haired dog.
I didn't even know what's happening.
I have a men's tail that would be looking for that.
Did the dog look around and go, huh?
Actually, I've done a few of these. I don't have that dog anymore, but let's see. No, actually, this is about 15 years old now. So he just didn't live that long.
I used to have a German Shepherd. She shed, oh my gosh. I could have made a gazillion paintbrushes.
Right. Now you see,
I
there's,
had a friend who used to weave her dog's hair.
Really?
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh.
How would it smell? She washed it.
Donkey.
Really? Yeah, like wool.
now what I'm doing right now is just trying to reestablish. For some reason, I feel like I'm going to keep this, this little lines that I made earlier, and I'm just reestablishing it. There are a couple of puddles that I'm going to go after.
I keep seeing the side profile of a Virgin Mary, like right. Am I the only one who sees that?
Yeah.
Just kind of the way, like, I don't know.
That's exactly what happens. As I'm painting, I start seeing things,
Yeah, like
and
just
you'll see.
her head covering and her eye, her nose, her mouth. She's kind of looking up.
Yeah, you could. If I wish to paint your painting, I could do that. Right. So, yeah, and but what?
On the other side, you can see it too, really.
Yeah, so I lift it up so you can see.
I'm sorry, it looks more like a clown to me.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Everybody sees differently. That's the whole thing. And if you were to teach people how to see, each one of them would see a different thing.
Isn't that the beauty of painting?
Right. Now I'm gonna let it dry a little bit as
I see terrier tongue.
Well, a lot of my paintings, you can't really get any sense of where we're going. And again, I'm not looking for something that's beautiful. I'm looking at something that's from within me that's going to come out before all this is over. So we'll see what it is.
Do you ever get annoyed at people saying, oh, I see this, that, or the other thing in your work?
No, I want them
Yeah, I
to.
see that too.
Because I don't. When I have a painting, I want them to look at the texture and the color and the
Right.
movement, but I don't want them to start picking out bunnies and doggies.
Oh, you do. Oh, I don't care.
Don't judge.
See, the more of the color that comes back in, this color will have the deeper. It wants, especially those areas that are dry. Now, in just a second, I'm going to start using Viridian in a big way, lots of greens.
Yeah.
But
A what?
Viridian is the color. It's considered the purest green. It's not Hooker's green. It's not any of those other colors.
Now, when the paper's doing that, it almost feels topographical, like
Yes.
yeah, but it'll dry flat.
It'll dry flat. That's why it's stapled, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
the staples do it, huh?
The staples will manage to. You can see how flat that paper is. It'll go straight as flat as that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little more yellow up in this.
And you don't use tape because?
Because it's a hassle, but I have some with me.
Nice strokes. You just do what you feel, or
I'm just, it's a response to the music and to what's happened already. And right in this particular stage of any of my paintings, it is the least coherent of the periods. But there's still no way of knowing what the final painting is going to look like at this point. You see how all those ochres are coming in? You'll see it only up in folks that can't see.
So are you going to use the same music for the next session? It'll be interesting to see.
See the two different.
To compare the two,
Right.
that would be interesting.
Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and begin using the Viridian. Excuse my sniffling.
Do you ever find you wish almost you could kind of stop it right where it is and say don't change at all?
I know when I need to stop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would never be at this stage. This is an early stage. And Viridian against anything is cool. That's what I think.
So wherever you stop, the end product is going to be different.
The end product is going to be different from where you stop. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
About how long does it take you on average per painting? Are we talking days or?
I almost always finish in a couple hours.
A couple hours, okay.
This one I stopped in the middle and I was going to come back and never did, so I thought I would show you that.
So if you let it dry and then you come back, what do you do, wet it again?
I wet what I want. Now this is going to be large swaths of green. And you can see how each color that you bring in changes the character.
Yes.
You decided yet about orienting?
That's what I'm working on right now. And do you see how many color fields? When you turn it, it will do a totally different thing. So what I'm seeing a lot of different things here, but I feel like I'm outside somewhere. And unlike, you saw the person, the Mother Mary, Virgin Mary, though she may still be there, to me, it's a whole figure, a dancing figure, this orange and this red that's coming through here. It's almost like she's leaping and leading. And I think I'm going to go with that. I usually make a decision sometime around now.
How does that relate to the longing, or does it? Or do you still have that someplace in your...
The longing was in part for Grace to write the music, but longing is central to my core existence. And dancing, feeling free, feeling open, that's what I long for. I did take off some of my clothes before painting. When I paint at home, I will be wearing less.
Really?
Yeah, it's just to be clear.
freedom.
Freedom, yeah, freedom is good. Now, to do that definition, I'm going to use some of the umbers and browns now, mixed with the blues. And I will use Payne's Gray to make it even deeper. You can see that's a Payne's Gray and these.
Has there ever been a time when you've really thought, oh, I've gone too far?
Oh, all the time.
You can cut that part out.
No, you just let it, you just let it happen.
Let it go.
You really can't do, if you try to control it too much, you have to accept the losses, and not be frustrated by them, because
It's like the question this morning about the manual setting on the camera.
Right. I know because I work in media technology so much. I've done that before.
Now, what does the gray do?
I am going to be lifting off this figure I see, this dancing figure.
She's beautiful.
This is the shadow behind the figure.
Got it.
Looks like a devil behind her. See that? Or a bird.
Yeah, there's a chance you'll see all sorts of things in here too.
I like this.
Now, because I want her moving through space and time, I'm going to be, this is sort of like, she's moving so fast, this is her essence that she's leaving. And there's something about this spherical space back here. I'm not sure whether I'll keep all that there, but I like it right now. And I'm going to use more of this viridian in front of her, like the green that she seeks. The nature, the Buddha nature. Can I just check the time with you guys?
2:45.
So we're about how long in from the...
What time does this end?
15 minutes, right?
Oh, I don't know what time.
They changed it so.
Supposed to start at 1, so 1:30, so.
The other one starts at 2. The other one starts at what time?
3.
Or 3.
No, yeah, the other one starts at 3. Because everything's back a half hour.
Yeah.
So or pushed to.
We're about a half hour into the music.
That's it. We just experimented with the credit card. I mean.
all my teachers, Marjorie was using the credit card to scrape through paint when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
And she learned it from Jason, who then I worked with when I was older.
Such a different effect.
So if folks want to come over here, you can sort of see it front on from the orientation I'm painting it now. Let it stand up a little bit to give it more vertical nature. Do you see this figure moving at all? So it's beginning to take shape. The point now is to go a little slower, and what it feels like to me is that there's this figure moving through from some dark stuff to some light stuff, maybe from the negativa to the positiva. That's what it feels like. Maybe it's because that's what we're talking about. Like this is sort of like a cracked egg, a cracked hope. I mean, it's just that's how I think about these things. So I'm going to try to reinforce some of those ideas. I'm going to get some oranges that I haven't really gotten to yet. These cadmium reds. Now what I'm doing is just trying to define the body. I won't pick this up right away so that it'll soak in. Define the figure. If I do pick it up anyway, will sort of let it slide that way, the color. This is the constructive law at work. I can't explain it exactly. Now I'm going to go paint out on the front end of this because it's sort of dry over there. You don't see it? Oh. There's this figure from history of some person with their arm up like this, almost like racing or something. That seems like what's happening here to me.
It's the wild woman, right?
Yeah.
Is that the Delphic Sybil though in the Sistine Chapel? Isn't she the Delphic Sybil?
Oh right, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it's sort of like that, right?
The scroll or something. I'm trying to remember.
Now, I had for a number of years I painted a lot of black, and I would put so much black on it, it looked like you were looking at stained glass. And there's a lot of nice things that can come from that. However, I've decided to move a little bit further away from that now. I'm going to come back the other way now with these colors. Yeah. Get the microphone. Maybe 3 or 4 hours of music that she cut from. Now the parts of this that I like the most, which somebody was asking if you really like something, I'm hoping to keep some of this in here because I like that. And one of the nice things about painting so large, and if you really like a space, you can cut it down. But I think it really in the long run doesn't work as well as the original painting did. Sometimes I will use salt on the paint, and if you drop the salt, it would.
It sucks up the color and it's all these little squigglies. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. It's really kind of neat how it does it.
Again, I'm just trying to get some of those luminescent qualities and add some texture. Can't get subtlety like that with a rough stroke. here, human figure of some sort that's here. But I only want the impression of her. I don't need it to be a particular thing. I'm going to take in one of my larger flat brushes. People say it doesn't take a lot of work to paint, but
Who said that?
So the diagonal flow indicates some sort of movement. Is that, I don't know, that's,
right.
yeah.
Right, which is why I keep trying to reestablish that diagonal.
Right.
I didn't even know that was still wet, which is fine. You choose to do this, even if it's your instinct to. I'm going to come back in.
Say that again, you choose to not mess with what?
Like here, I wasn't expecting it to still be wet, and it dripped across areas that I didn't know it was going to drip across. Better just to let it go.
Let it go.
Okay, so now I'm going to just try to take what's here and keep working with it. So these next sections are going to be introducing some additional greens.
So you do reach a point where you say, the basics are established, and now what I'm doing is underlining or supporting. Or
Yep. Sorry about my sniffling. I had not sniffled at all in weeks. I'll look at that from there now as it drips across there. See how the drips of that yellow I just laid down came all the way across.
Oh, that's neat.
And the only ones I really want to pick up are here. And you see they're not really there anymore.
do you ever get to this kind of point where you suddenly say, maybe the orientation that I've been going with is completely...
Yeah, I might say, oh, yeah, this looks great over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back in with heavy blues. It's these colors that are coming on now that'll be the most brilliant, the most deep, the most saturated.
Because of the layering?
Because of the layering.
Do you ever try to intentionally dry this in sections? I mean, like with a hairdryer or...
No, not with a hairdryer. With paper towels is something I really use. No, I want to see what's going on.
Very cool.
I've decided to leave this white section, a lot of that white section up there, a lot of the white from this top of this, and even the sort of dirty parts up there. I'm going to probably leave a lot of that.
It's almost like flapping wings now, too.
Yeah, there could be that. I mean, there are all sorts of things in here. There's certainly a lot of drips, but what I'm doing, it's drying more and more as I paint now. The only places that are really wet are the puddles, and I will keep working the puddles. If it gets too solid there, it won't really work. I'm going to step outside just to blow my nose real quick, just so I don't sniffle so much. Excuse me. And you all can all come up and look at it while I'm out for a
Patterns.
Interesting on the paint trays too. Uses a lot of water. That's something I never would have thought
Lay on
of,
the
using all that
leaf.
water.
That would be way too wet. I would be concerned that it would be too much, but hey.
What do you think?
I love the patterns. The curves.
I like these colors
You can almost
in here.
lay on a leaf.
Yeah. I like this little thing
Looks
right
like a
here. I
warm
like that in there.
sunrise.
Yeah, I like how it goes from that to the. This part's my favorite
I
right
love
there.
this.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, that works
I
well
do
there,
too.
and that's why I'm not messing with it too much.
I like how the yellow dripped over the green.
So what I'm going to do now is work on the top, and I'm going to keep this figure happening. I'm going to sort of work over here and try not to screw it up too much. Try to keep some of the same flows.
Here, like this.
Right. Well, I mean, some of this is going to be really important later on. You'll see how it works through.
How long will it take to dry?
It'll dry this afternoon.
Oh, it will.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll be able to see it dry.
Yeah, we'll have it tomorrow.
Okay, great.
For us all to look at. Okay, so
Sunrise.
let me work on a couple more of these. This is my newest brush, which is an antique Japanese calligraphy brush that's like 100 years old. Got it for about $60 in Memphis, and I'm so happy with it. And now I'm painting with it all the time.
Where does one find a brush like that?
This was an antique store. They were
An
just selling.
antique
They were
store?
selling it like if you wanted to buy it as an antique. I said, oh yeah, let me buy that. You see, dry. There's just sort of a different thing going on at all.
How long will your palette of $400 worth of paints last you?
Probably 3 or 4 more paintings.
And once you finish with this one, will you do anything to clean that up or just let it dry the way it is? Or?
I usually don't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very rare for me to try to fix anything. Mostly that's against my principles.
But I mean, like there's no, you don't seem to worry. I'm talking about.
Oh, to clean up the palettes,
yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
Yes, I will clean them up. I won't clean them up today, but I will clean them up. I don't clean them up between paintings.
Right.
I mean, for today, if I'm doing the same.
But when you finish, you
When I
do
finish,
some tidying up with this.
I'm gonna let it all dry over tonight, and then we'll come back. Now I'm pretty happy with some of these things that are going on up here. I'm not sure why. I am going to come back with this brush. One of the things that like I said in the thing that we were reading. And you can see how she's using those vibrations. How are we doing on time now?
It's almost 25 to 3.
Come on in, Randy, if you'd like.
He's running around telling everybody what time it is.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, Randy said about 15 minutes.
Okay, good. It's working out pretty well, though. There is a puddle I'm not happy with too much because it is the constructive law at work. I'll just come and do some patterns to pull up some of that, but it'll also help it when it dries. I just know how the drying is going to affect it. And those spaces there will dissolve into the paper. It's really interesting how that works. Now I'm going to pull this paint with the. It sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Now Viridian and the purples really work well together.
The green needs that. That's right there.
Yeah. Now I'm going to let it dry for just a minute. We've got about 15 minutes. If you want to come back up again, I'm going to let it sit. I need to let it sit for just a minute before I do anything more of it, so you can see better looking straight down on it. If I try to lift it up to show you, it may run where I don't want it to run now.
Yeah. Running.
The little semicircle on the bottom, I hadn't seen that before.
Over here on that side,
this
yeah.
sort of thing, yeah.
Right, that's
Which, yeah, I mean, I thought everything was going this way.
right. I'm going to keep that happening.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a sphere of the earth, the sphere of her.
Yeah, because I see something.
Over here?
Yellow.
Right.
There.
Oh, right, yeah. You can.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things we'll see in here. And we'll see things after it dries that we never thought of before.
Really?
Well, it's still a lot of puddles so far, so let's just see if we can finally.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back in. Now just dry a little bit of this.
If you don't dry the puddles, do they dry naturally in a very deep, intense color?
It depends on the color itself.
But they cake.
They can. But I also want to work with the space, and I don't want to. While I like the constructive law concept, it doesn't always help my painting.
Do you have an orientation?
I have the orientation is vertical this way. This is a.
Oh, really?
But we can look at it each of the different ways and see what works.
Fascinating this way. I hadn't seen this before.
Right.
I know, it's interesting when you start walking around and looking at it. Different angles.
Right. Every viewpoint and every again, it's the way we see the world. If y'all want to look at it from this way. going to be
Now it
turning it up.
really does burst. I don't know, it just looks like that to me, sunrise, but then there's, no, it's too busy out here.
The nice thing about busy parts, you can just paint them out. Put all color all over it and the busyness goes away.
Yeah.
I know this is going to seem odd, but just bear with me. I'm just going with what's there and wanting to just bear with me. It may not work, you never know. It may not work.
It's balancing a little more.
For this process, you don't have a lot of time to think about it, do you?
No, you just, that's if you think about it, you can be really messed up.
Right.
And now, when I scrape through, you can see the paint to scrape through is like, this stuff is easy to scrape through. See how that yellow comes right through?
Yeah.
Same thing here. Now I'll probably come back in with some heavy green over that in just a minute. Here you hear Grace's voice.
Like Shiva now.
I'm sort of trying to look at it as we go here. There's something about the unfinished part of this that I sort of like right now, but I'm not sure that works as well as it may.
Trying to draw the eye to the middle, or does that not?
No.
Did that come into play?
It doesn't come into play at all.
Okay.
I mean, it often does happen, but it's not what I'm thinking about.
Do you have separate studios?
Barney has a studio, a 400 square foot studio upstairs in our house, and I have a 400 square foot studio downstairs. So mine is an old shop that was the man that did the first building code in North Carolina built the house in 1948, and man, is it a great house.
You're in Nashville?
No, we're in Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, in Durham, that's right, I'm sorry. The others are now.
Right.
I like that right there.
It's her life force. remember the life force of the earth. And I know all the paint can come off the floor. So. The space that seems most unresolved right now is this space. And if I had to worry about whether or not it was going to be a painting I could sell, I would never be able to paint.
No. But you've got to know if it's pleasing to you, it's going to be pleasing to someone else.
Potentially, yes. I like my work, but not everybody does.
Well, we can't please all the people.
Right, right.
You know, I'm so intrigued when I look at it this way, it's sort of ocean going into the mountains. When you look at it the other way, it's
That's our natural inclination about how we see the world.
fascinating. And the other way, it's absolutely, it's, you know, green and sky.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. That's what happened to me.
Right.
I'm seeing it as
I'm letting it drip and letting it see.
It's very danceable.
Right.
That figure in there, very danceable.
You can see the figure?
Yeah.
So it just, that's what happens in my paintings. I see things and then I say, oh, well, what do we want to do with it? And I'm getting pretty close to where I want to just leave it alone.
They've got several diagonals going on that are really neat.
Where do you sell them, Durham?
In Durham or wherever I can. Most of the paintings that I've sold have been, I would say, 80% have been what would get into any American Watercolor Society show. So that's that kind of more representational.
The ones you sold it then?
Well, because I painted mostly representational until I was almost 30. I'm 58 now. And most of the paintings I've sold over the years. One thing I'd like to do here. But I didn't sell them for very much. Now I decided to ask what I want. What I think they're worth.
And it depends on where you live too, but the market will.
Oh well, but I don't care if I sell them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I mark the prices of what I want. What I'm willing to part with this piece.
That's right.
Fly or dry?
Huh?
Do you take these back? Or?
Yeah, I will take these back.
You drove.
I drove. We drove the show down in a big pickup U-Haul truck that it was during one of the storms that were hitting the center of the country, and we got blown off the road by about 10 feet. We almost went all the way off. So I count myself as. Marty says, "You're going off the road." I said, "I'm not going off the road. I'm going blown off the road." But I had all those hours we had to have this just like this.
Wow.
Well, I would say with those last yellows that I'm going to leave this alone for right now. I'm going to set it over here at a slight angle, and you'll be able to see more exactly probably the way. Now, it could be that I like it in a different orientation later.
Still looks like a sun. Either that or a walker.
She's still good.
Yeah. Smiling.
Somebody knows for children. Don't mess with mama's chickadees.
And so when I frame this, I may go here, I could go all the way up, I could go take some of that out at the bottom. But I'm just feeling like I want to leave that white that's there right now.
Wow.
But when you see it after it's dry, like after your next session, you can come back in and just peek, and you'll see that it's a totally different piece again. And I'm not going to mess with this.
Yeah, that's what.
That's one of the accidents that you just say, oh, goodness, don't mess with that. So, now it could be that before I take this painting off the board, that I may do some touch-up. But I won't be trying to clean up the piece, I'll be trying to add to it. But my experience has been that the less I do that, the better it is.
We photograph it.
Oh, sure, sure.
Now this, you did this red at the end, which you can tell it must have struck me as real gussy. I mean, because it really changed the
Well, I wanted the body to be emerging from the earth. And I knew that the piece Grace was doing then was related to red. And I just felt like, oh, let's go back to red.